2 Gauntlet is gonna happen rather soon. Not even 2 weeks from now, I believe. This is gonna be what I'm gonna play. That's like my idea of that. And yeah, that's what I'm gonna play. It's gonna be Earthshatter. This is how this looks like. So you're gonna be an Ancestral Commander. Basically, this is obviously a Berserker. The idea is pretty simple. You are essentially a Warcry build. So you Earthshatter the ground, and then your Warcries will essentially explode this, explode the screen. So yeah, that's all you basically do. You jump around and hit the ground, and then stuff explodes. This is the entire idea. I get the point with, oh, what about Volcanic Fissure of Snaking? Go for that if you feel like it. Probably cool. I just do not intend to farm lab. I want to be able to die and pick up real quick after that, and not farm lab over and over and over again. So yeah, that's why I'm doing that. But that's the build, right? You have seen it. It's a slammer a million times probably. This example is a Berserker. In this case, we will not be a Berserker because there are different ascendancies happening. It's the Prisha ones, and we are going to be a wonderful Ancestral Commander, is what they're called. So yeah, you have like basically this Warcry node here, which is really, really cool. You have max endurance charges, and you have your mini Defiance of Destiny and toughened skin here. That's like kind of the idea. Really, really cool character. I played it back in Prisha and really, really liked it. So yeah, that's what I'm gonna go with. And I'm gonna give you a quick rundown on like the POB and how I believe everything works in this. In terms of leveling, for like skill progression, you will be playing Ground Slam, or I will be playing Ground Slam basically until level 12. We're gonna switch to Sunder and then essentially stay Sunder for the entire campaign. And since this is Gauntlet, I will go with Sunder into maps. I will not swap before that, just because farming like XP and a little bit of gear is just easier. We don't have the modifiers yet, but it's typically just easier in maps. Like wild maps are typically significantly less dangerous than the campaign, so just leave the campaign, and then in mapping we're gonna swap to Earthshatter. The basic idea here is that we start with life tap on it, so mana is not that big of a deal. We add endurance charge or melee stun for sustain as quickly as possible. That's like the 5-link idea. If at all possible, get rid of life tap as soon as possible, put in different other supports, but that's what you have to start with. You have auto exertion stuff, situations here going. Obviously, our 4 main ones, maybe early because of mana, you need to remove one here, or alternatively in the second setup that has like Battle Mage Cry with vulnerability, you can remove that, cast Vuln on yourself. Yeah, you already have significantly more mana with that, so there's like your possibilities in terms of mana. Purity, Rallying Cry is your manual one essentially. We're gonna go Leap Slam, faster attacks you can absolutely remove. This has a lot of socket pressure. Enduring Cry you need until you have the sustain. If you have the chest that gives you infinite ones of them, you can get rid of this probably, or put it in a weapon swap with a Red Blade banner if you ever get that. That's a possibility. Also keep in mind that your weapon has is a strength dex base, so it might be beneficial to put faster attacks or blood rage into your weapon, especially if you don't have that node that gives you, I think it's a mastery or something that gives you like armor based on amount of red sockets. If you don't care about that, you don't have that, then it's often easier to put this in a 6-socket weapon and have your 6 link in your chest essentially. It's better in the chest anyway, because it's more likely that you swap your weapon than you swap your chest after some point. At least I feel like. Other than that, there's only one single green blue gem. Everything else is red, and you're only wearing armor gear anyway, unless you find some crazy suppression gear. Obviously that would be cool, but yeah, it's just not happening. It's Gauntlet. Yeah, blood rage here needs a space as well, and as you can see, there's one thing here and one free slot here, so you can fit blood rage somewhere, I guess, and maybe get urgent orders in there if you can handle it with your mana. But that's your basic skill gems here. One more thing about skill gems, a bunch of them you can keep low level because better mana, and doesn't matter, they're only exerting anyway, if I understand this correctly. What you need to do is Frostblink, keep Frostblink low. I like keeping Leap Slam low for mana and also, one-shotting yourself, stuff like that. Faster attacks needs to be low because of decks, unless you can solve decks. And the quality actually has a purpose here. Make sure you can just do that. You can have different quality on your auto-exerting war cries because the quality gives increased cooldown recovery rate. So after the first trigger, they kind of get staggered and you explode your spikes a little bit more. It's not mandatory, and these specific quality values, they are irrelevant. Just make sure they're different on the auto-exerting ones, and you can probably discuss if you want. Maybe you want Battle Mage's Cry to be available really often or not. You can decide that. Something like that. But that's not, the specific values are not the point. It's about them being different. If you have the ability to, give them some quality at all. That would be the idea. That's basically gems. For items, you want slow axe. This is like an example axe. I put in like a big axe here, like this giga one that increases your damage so much. But even just a basic axe, Void Axe seems to be pretty nice. Curry Chopper is probably maybe a little bit slow for the amount of rage we have, so probably wouldn't go with that. And there's like a third one. It's in the notes. You can go with Val Axe, is probably not that bad either. Some big two-hander, slow axe, get fizz on it, get attack speed on it, get more fizz on it. That's basically it. Everything else is in here is just armor gear. You probably want Dex Int here. I have some anoint options in the notes. These are basically, in my opinion, Hatchet Mastery is pretty cool, pretty nice, but aggressive. You technically have the ability to go for Clever Thief to solve like mana leech stuff, or maybe Admonisher might not be that bad either because you can get rid of this, but we're going to talk about that in a second. Other than that, it's just live res gear. I have not put resistance on it except for some chaos here because you really want that. And these are very high armor bases with some Searing Exarch and Eater of Foes implicit stuff, which is really helpful. Mainly this one, like the most important one, or the most really cool one is Exarch on your chest. Gives you endurance charge every 15 seconds. You have increased charge duration, so they are infinite, really cool. And there's also here the ones on your boots that would give you basically shock immunity. With having this stuff here and also having some gas guide or not any actually. You need to check which ones actually can roll that, but having a Void Shock Jewel would be pretty nice. But you need a Stygian Vice for that, so good luck farming that. Also here the craft. That can also technically be on your amulet. The Warcrest cannot exert travel skills. In my opinion, yes, it's really good to have, but I value this lower than having minimum power of 10, because minimum power of 10 means I can use Enduring Cry at any moment on top of my endurance charges. So I much rather not have the travel one. That's okay, yes, it makes me weaker, but I just don't value it that high. The minimum power 10 is way cooler. Here we have the other thing, the Leech Mana Jewel, really important. Make sure, I think Cobalt Jewels cannot roll that. Pick up Jewels, you're gonna find one. You always will, but it really solves your mana issues. Other than that, I mean, some possibility would be, I think this one here. Yeah, you could go all the way over here and take the mana there. Technically, there's some for life and mana here. There's some other life ones here. So you can solve it this way if you need to. As I said, you can anoint this one as well, but yeah, might not be easy to anoint that. You need oils for that. So that's that, and that's basically gear. Some flasks with cool stuff. Eternal Mana Flask, really useful early on. It just doesn't run out. That's like really cool. You can use that. Just any, doesn't even need to be that high level, but the Eternal ones are great because they last like 7 seconds. I think that's with quality, but they last pretty long, and that really helps with your entire mana sustain thing. Same for attributes. Attributes are pretty tight, honestly, on this build. If you look at the calculations here, we can see why do we need End. It's basically the auras here, right? Herald of Purity and Vuln. If they're not 2020 or level 20 yet, it will be lower. So it's a bit of a more end game or later into maps problem. So it's easier early. And if you find any kind of Int on your gear then you can probably kill this one here, or if you happen to go up here, there's some more end nodes, so this frees up some stuff. For dexterity, the required one, it's faster attacks which can be lowered or just be removed, which is not that bad. Rallying Cry is the next one, but even that, if it's not level 20, it's easier. And you have mostly, probably, that's the limit, it's your weapon. It just has a requirement. So I feel like you do need some level of dexterity to be solved, and we do this in this case with the amulet, and I like having a craft. For example, you can have a craft here on the helmet. In this case, it's strength and dex. That is mostly because if you actually get like a royal plate, which is the highest base, right, that's causing or might cause you some level of strength issues depending on your tree. Here's the requirements. It's basically, yeah, it's the items essentially. So you might need a little bit of strength on your gear as well, or as said, maybe you path a little bit differently. That's also possible. That's for attributes. In terms of tree progression, pretty simple. You have a choice here. I feel like you can go this path for the increased physical damage. This is like, feels like double damage taking these nodes, because these increases very early on, they're basically a more multiplier. That's kind of the same, or this feels like it. So yeah, you can go here and spec later to this, or you go instantly here and just deal no damage. That's like what I will probably do, so I don't die. You rush Resolute Technique, obviously can use a little bit of precision early. If you want to, until you get here, especially because this way is a little bit longer than just here. You still need this, Dex and Int, for your Frostblink and stuff like that. So you would go here, take this first, and then go over there. Can take this later as well. But yeah, maybe use a low-level precision if you want to for this. Also, Decoy Totem, I think, is not in the build guide thing. Decoy Totem can be pretty nice if you're somehow scared of monsters or bosses or whatever. Then yeah, especially for the spider next to. But you can do that. Also some vitality if you want to. Yeah, you decide. Next, we just take some damage over here. After that, here is the Warcry situation, right? I still like the power. You can do the exert one, up to you. Rage here, Warcry stuff here, some more defenses. The next one here, already on 53, is max res. You can decide here. Do you want the lowered by curses? Do you want the how's it called, the corrupted blood one? Technically, there's also the availability of the chaos one. Depends on modifiers probably a little bit. But yeah, the lowered by cursor seems to be the one killing you the most, or the most surprising way, I feel like. Yeah, more max res armor stuff here, life, really big, obviously. Fortify, really good. Yeah, very powerful. Also, here's potential in there. You can do different stuff. You can do the thing with blood stance, like way more damage. You can do rage for rage sustain, which is kind of cool. You can also make sure there is corpse removal. That can be really powerful. I definitely take that later. Has some choices. A little bit of a respec here, as you can see as well. So you can do that. Be prepared for that. It's overall not that many respecs, and we have gold anyway. For 60 more damage. More other stuff here, and then towards mapping, and that's basically the thing with like actually using the Earthshatter thing. You want your dual socket, you probably want to start having some endurance charges and make sure they really last a long time towards maps, and you have the kind of the necessity to actually get your mana sorted, right, with the reducing the mana cost of stuff here, but it's probably life tap anyway, so this actually doesn't do that. Right now, it just lowers for other stuff like curses, I think, or something like that. But yeah, you need to solve your mana here before you can actually go Earthshatter. And then this is a level 91 situation where you have more like of a full tree. There's not that much difference anymore, right? We do take some stuff, but yeah. The main differences here, I feel like, or like the options you have. There's especially the big option of going up here. So where you can save for Anoint, for example, I don't know if I talked about that already, but it's Hatchet Mastery. And if you anoint this, right, then you definitely can. I'm pretty sure you can just sacrifice this cluster here. Also depends how it feels. How does the build feel? Do you need the Warcry speed? If not, you can sacrifice it. The recover is not that bad. Actually, you would sacrifice that as well. But yeah, there's an option. If you don't have issues with Warcry speed, maybe don't take this. If you can solve int otherwise, don't take this either. So you can already cut this entire part and connect here. Maybe you don't care about being stunned. I would not recommend, or maybe you solve it differently. But if yes, then you can get rid of this. Same for this one here. This is just to have a attack damage leech that I really like, because otherwise it's only dependent on your blood rage. And if that runs out, it's just a comfy pick. Since I'm here anyway, I feel like this 1 point makes my life easier and more comfy, so I cannot forget. So yeah, you can technically cut this entire part here, giving you a ton of points. The other part I feel like is very possible to cut is this part up here, if mana works out for you, especially with the crafts on your rings and stuff like that. Maybe you can cut this entire part here, and even if you don't cut this, but you cut just this part, that's like 6 points, I believe, right? And you can cut these two as well, then you can already, that's like 8 points. So we have 5 here, 6, 7, 8. That gives you an extra endurance charge. It still gives you the socket that you lose here, but you get it for 1 point, since you just take this already. So just removing this and then the socket here already gets you up here, which is pretty nice. You do lose a bunch of life, and that also gives you the option to go up here for more reservation and a little bit more extra life here and 2 more 10 int nodes. So that's like a basic, yeah, if you look at this entire part here, this is like quite an option. And I feel like a lot of people are gonna go for that, and it changes your entire reservation a little bit. But then yeah, you probably cut this out. Maybe you find some points here. And I have made you another example thing here. That's like example nodes. It has way too many levels, but it covers a bunch of nodes that I find interesting. Right? I mean, there's some stuff here with like bleed removal. Here is the armor per endurance charge, and some, I mean, these nodes are not that bad. I mean, all res is kind of for this build is whatever. You're gonna be res capped. Possibilities here, right? The red socket per armor per red socket is kind of nice. Have some ignore. Physical damage reduction is kind of cool. You already have some here. This is the more physical damage. This can also be another 50% to ignore physical stuff. So that stuff is kind of nice. I like that. For some reason, I really like Hardy, and this like nearby enemies have 50% reduced life regen. I don't know, I feel like it's so comfy. You just like so much regen here. I kind of like this. I kind of like the idea to have like the reduced curse effect here, and another 30% reduced extra damage from crits, which you already have here probably. Something like this, right? So you're already at 60%, which is cool, and maybe you have some other sources. Yeah, this one also really like. There's other options behind this mastery, some curse effect. So yeah, these are like some options, and we already talked about that stuff. In terms of mana, obviously here, if you look at this, the -7 mana cost things, these are so huge. These are so big. As soon as you have them, it's great. Problem is the recipe, I believe, is in red maps. There's some in general issues with recipes for this game. Other than the example, I do have a jug one here. Like this is a juggernaut, roughly on 95. If you want to try this without a private league, the private leagues, as soon as the modifiers are up, typically pop up. There you can try a little bit, but yeah, it's never going to be the same anyway. Because you cannot do all the modifiers they have. But if you want to try this, get a feel for it, make a juggernaut, I feel like with these nodes here, right? This is very similar to some extent, like those charges are stronger, but yeah, it's not too far away to get a look and feel of the actual build. You can basically do that. We still have a little bit of notes here. You can read through these. These are about annoyance. We didn't talk about mercenaries yet. Holy! Just do not talk to mercenaries. That's it. That's in my opinion. If you don't want to die, don't talk to them. That's it. Here are the positions of the crafts, and you already see you do run into red map territory here. You need to figure out how to get that stuff. Basically, something about stats and mana. Yeah, gem levels explained. Here's a list of map mods. This is Gauntlet. You probably want to avoid. That's a lot of them. We do a follow-up video on how to actually progress in Gauntlet in maps and not die, but that's not for today. There's some very basic crafting stuff. That's the most relevant one. Is these are the breakpoints for your weapons. These are the ones you can probably use. I guess Void is the best one, maybe Val. Yeah, depends on what you actually have. And yeah, gamble bases. And yeah, in general, honestly, to get gear, since you will not do high-level maps with any quantity on it, or even at all high-level maps, and your character levels, honestly, talk to Faustus and gamble items. That's how you get bases. That's the idea. Be like a level 84, 85 character, and you get 84 bases. I think that's how that works. Yeah, some Atlas things I really recommend. Block Ritual, get the Nico buffs, get some map sustain, and that's it, because you're not gonna do higher maps anyway. If you do, anything that gives you monsters is great. You might want to spec into some Abyss to get a belt base. Harvest would be great for crafting, but just don't die. And yeah, more Nico chance if you want to. That's basically what I would do if you just want to reach like level 90 or 95 or something like that. So that's basically it. That's what I will do during Gauntlet. Yeah. I want to say I recommend it, but that's like, if you ask me, that's my plan right now, unless somebody comes up with something way cooler. And if you want to play Fissure, then go ahead and play Fissure. I'm not gonna farm Lab in Gauntlet, die, and then refarm it. That's demotivating. If I die, I just want to make a new character, have all the gear prepared in normally anyway, and then just, you know, slam again. It's so quick to do with prepared gear. So yeah, that's it, I believe, what I wanted to talk about. No, I forgot these. Right, here you have these. You have two of them, right? So you can decide to not take one of them and take the Wither one. That one makes for a pretty good thing, I feel like. Cool. Anyway, good luck in Gauntlet. Bye.